Let's say you have 4 sales reps, 4 closers. The stars in the screen you see right now represent the closer's sales skills, their sales ability, and the batteries represent their mental performance, their level of mental performance, energy, focus, and drive, motivation, mental clarity, all of those great things. We see 4 different people in here. Let's try to see who is going to win the race and who is going to perform the best, who's going to make the most money, who's going to close at a higher level, who's going to be the best closer out of those 4 people. So on the far right, we have 2 different closers. Both of them have the exact same sales knowledge. However, there is a difference. The one on the left has peak level of mental performance. He wakes up, he's driven, he's energized, he's crystal clear and sharp throughout all the day, the entire day. And the guy on the right, Bob, let's call him Bob, he wakes up tired, he drags his ass all the way throughout the day, and every call gets harder and harder and harder, and he is foggy, he can't really focus on what the prospect says. Who out of the 2, if their sales ability is the exact same, they have 2 out of 5 stars, who do you think is going to beat the other? It's probably going to be this guy. In the same exact scenario, we have the guy on the right now, which is very high, exceptionally high sales skills, but low mental performance. And then we have this guy, which is going to be your number 1 player, peak level of sales ability, as well as peak level of mental performance. Now let's see who is going to beat who and who's going to make place number 1 in the podium. On the short term, this guy here is going to beat this guy. And why? Well, it's because in the short term, this guy knows more about sales, which means that he will be able to close at a higher level because he knows the stuff. However, this guy is going to be able to improve his sales ability, to improve his performance over the long term, because his level of mental performance is much higher from this guy. And as a result, for the long term, this guy will get beaten by this guy. All in all, this guy will outperform everyone else because he is peak sales knowledge and peak mental performance levels. If the sales ability is the exact same in all 4, the guy who performs the best mentally, who is able to articulate himself in the calls, who is able to maintain his level of sharpness and clarity and energy and focus throughout the whole day, throughout most of his calls, is going to perform the most, is going to perform the better, is going to close the most money, the most amount of cash, is going to close at a higher level, even if he has the exact same sales skills with this guy. So the question is, how do you improve your mental performance, or how do you improve your sales ability? Both of those things, you need to go through this system, which is really simple, and you will understand this. For your sales ability, you take sales calls or you take sales training. You get out. So this is the input, the things that you do to improve your sales, which is one of the biggest things you can do is you can take more sales calls. So your sales team takes sales calls. This is an input. The output is what you get out of the sales calls. Like you're either going to close the person or you're either going to not close the person. Or in both cases, you're going to learn. So this is the output. From the input and the output, you have data. So you say, this month I took 100 sales calls. Out of the 100 sales calls, I closed 30 people. This is a 30% close rate. How many of them did show up? How many of them were qualified, etc., etc. You collect the data. Now, what you do with the data is what matters the most for you to be able to improve the inputs. Because you take the data, and then you get feedback. And this is a feedback loop, because you will see the data and you will say, okay, out of those 100 calls, only 75 showed up. So I have a 75% show up rate. So I need to improve X, Y, Z in my sequences and in my emails in order to increase that number. So this is what you do, and then you optimize for the metrics that you gathered here. It's quite simple, and this is how you go from Bob with a 2 out of 5 stars of sales skill knowledge to this guy right here. The same exact thing happens with your mental performance and your level of mental performance, whether that's your energy levels, your ability to perform under high stress and pressure and chaos, your overall mental performance goes through the exact same system and process and feedback loop. The problem is that most salespeople, don't really have a system to improve that input. So let's say, for example, you do something to improve your energy. That something is you sleep better. You sleep for 8 hours. The output is that you will probably wake up the next day feeling better. But do you have the data for this? So what do I mean by this? Let's say you sleep for 8 hours. You wake up feeling a certain way the next day. Do you have data? You probably don't have data. You only know that you slept for 8 hours. You don't know anything in regards to how much REM sleep you acquired. You don't know how deep was your sleep. You don't know how did your routine that previous day affected your stress level and your recovery. So you don't have in-depth data. And as a result of that, the feedback that you can, like the optimizations that you're going to be able to make to improve the inputs, your sleep, are going to be very limited. So this is the quality of your feedback loop is going to limit your sales ability or your mental performance, your level of mental performance. You can only do so many things to improve your level of mental performance if you don't have data. You can eat healthier, you can sleep more, you can go to the gym more, you can do more cardio, you can drink more coffee or less coffee, whatever your route you choose. You can do more cold showers, but there's only so many generic things you can do without data. And what truly makes the difference is having the data. So you might ask me right now, okay, Manuso, what exactly do I do? What kind of data are we talking about here so that I can improve my inputs every single day, every single week, so that I can perform at my peak mentally, or I can have my sales team perform at its peak, at their peak mentally. And this is what I would do if I were you. In terms of the data that will affect your mental performance, you need to track things like how is your lifestyle affecting your sleep quality and your stress levels. You know that you're sleeping for 8 hours, or you're tracking in your end of the day report or in your journal that you're sleeping for 8 hours, but you don't know how many of those hours you were actually asleep for, how many of those hours were REM sleep, deep sleep, how efficient was your sleep, your heart rate, your HRV, the health of your circadian biology. You don't know those things because the thing that you're tracking is, okay, I went to bed at 11, woke up at 7 or 8. You don't track how the things that you're eating are affecting your body. If you have any particular things that your body cannot really digest, which is again going to affect your mental clarity, your performance heavily, because 50% of your dopamine production is happening inside the gut. 90% of serotonin production is happening inside the gut. And serotonin and dopamine are both neurochemicals that will influence how you speak, how you conduct yourself on the calls. And if you don't know the data behind those two neurochemicals and what you need to do to improve them, to put yourself in a more optimal position to feel healthier, happier, perform better, and feel more sharp, then how on earth are you going to improve those things? Yes, you can eat healthier, but healthy is a subjective thing. So I can say I'm eating a paleo diet or a keto diet because I saw that somebody on the internet talking about it. Okay, cool. But do I know if that's the diet that my body prefers the most based on my hormone levels, based on my nutrient deficiencies, based on my gut microbiome? Well, not really. So you gather that data and then you're able to, for each one of your closers, you're able to tailor a plan for them specifically that allows them to operate at their maximum capacity every single day. In the exact same way as you collect data from their sales performance, like their closing rate, their show-up rate is not something that they are in charge of completely. They are, but not completely. The same exact way that you're tracking things like their cash collected, their offer close, their show-up rate, their whatever, in the same exact way, you track things like their energy levels, their hormone levels, their sleep quality, their stress levels, because those things will influence how they conduct themselves on the call. And then you can see the correlation between the guy who performs at the highest level because you know the data, and then you have created a predictable system of what every person in your team should do so that they can, again, predictably perform at their highest capabilities every single day. Because sales and improving your sales skills has everything to do with data, everything to do with data. You train yourself, your trainer will probably ask you for your metrics. What's your closing rate? What's your qualified rate? In order to be able to identify what's the bottleneck. Okay, you have a lead problem. Okay, you have a sales problem. The pitch is the problem. The offer is the problem. In the exact same way, if we were to analyze your mental performance, we would ask, okay, what's your hormone levels looking like? How is your diet affecting your mental performance, your digestion? How is your life, your daily routine, and your habits are affecting your recovery and stress levels? But if you don't know those things, you can only follow a generic cookie cutter approach to make sure that you're doing the best practices to feel at your best. But you can only get at a specific level. You can only get so high with your mental performance with generic advice. Because improving your sales skills to a peak level, to a top-notch level, is the exact same thing as reaching peak mental performance in regards to your energy, focus, productivity, and motivation. You can't do it without data. If this is interesting and you would like more help, because that's exactly what I do, I help sales teams, sales professionals, executives, and entrepreneurs optimize their mental performance so they can make more money, closer to a higher level, perform better at their peak in the business. If you would like to learn more about how we do that and the system that we integrate to be able to help you perform at your peak mentally, your sales team, then I'll leave my calendar below this video. You can book a call with me or my team, depending on the time or the period that you're watching this video at. And I'm more than happy to show you and walk you through the exact steps of what we would do for your specific situation to integrate this system to help you or your team perform better and collect more money. Hope this was insightful. Take care.